The passion, the pain, and the poetry of the beautiful game.
Overhead kick, brilliant goal!
The Champions League live on Talksport 2.
Match day 2 in the UEFA Champions League, and here live on your home of European football, we're about to bring you Manchester City's first ever match in Slovakia as they take on Slovan Bratislava live on Talksport 2.
And on the edge of the area, it's volleyed in, and Manchester City lead. It's Rodri.
Surgery this morning, ACL. Next season will be here.
I think it's easier to go out and buy another centre forward than ever it is to play without Rodri.
There is no disputing that when he's not in the team, the wins go down and the failures go up. Newcastle won, Manchester City won.
And they have turned it into a goal. Vladimir Weiss, the former Manchester City player, with a really excellent finish.
3 draws in the last 4 games, though. Would that surprise you slightly?
We'll be back, don't worry.
Well, a very good evening to you, Ami and Danta, and we bid you welcome wherever and however you're listening to TalkSport 2 on a very busy night of football, not just in Europe but also domestically as well. And mine and Stuart Pearce's job between now and 10 p.m. here on TalkSport 2 is to keep you bang up to date with everything that's happening in this country and abroad, whilst bringing you full commentary of Slovan Bratislava against Manchester City. Let me quickly remind you of the team news. 6 changes for Pep Guardiola's City from the 1-1 draw at Newcastle at the weekend. Foden makes his first start in the Champions League this season, came at a half-time in the 0-0 draw against Inter. Ortega gets a run out in goal. Gundogan skippers the side, and Stones plays at centre-half. Stefan Ortega in goal. Rico Lewis, John Stones, Manuel Akanji, Josko Gvardiol in a back 4, but we all know now that Rico Lewis could just as easily tuck into midfield alongside Ilkay Gundogan and Matheus Nunes. Savinho, Phil Foden and Jeremy Doku in behind Erling Haaland in attack. And despite the fact that you can name as many as 10 outfield players on your subs bench, Pep Guardiola's only named 6. Ederson and Carson are his 2 sub-keepers, along with Walker, Diaz, Kovacic, Grealish, Bernardo Silva and McAtee. It's 4-3-3 for the Slovakian league leaders, Slovan Bratislava. They play 4-3-3. Dominik Takac is their goalkeeper. Cesar Blackman, the right back. Centre-halves Graham Cashier and Kenan Bajric. Kevin Wimmer, once of Spurs, normally plays at centre-half, but as he did in the first game at Celtic when Bratislava lost 5-1, he switches to left back tonight. Kyriakos Savidis is in midfield along with Marko Tolic and Danilo Ignatenko. There were hopes that Kuchka could play tonight, but he has an ankle problem and is out. A front 3 of Tigran Barsegian, who's in very good goal scoring form, David Strelic, and the captain Vladimir Weiss, who was a Manchester City Academy graduate during the latter part of the 2000s and made a handful of appearances for the club. Also had loan spells at Bolton Wanderers and Rangers whilst he was on City's books. They've got a full complement of substitutes, including Robert Mack, who also has connections with Manchester City. It's a very impressive stadium, the Tenele Pol that Bratislava play their home games in. Holds about 25,000 spectators. The old Tenele Pol was demolished just over a decade ago, and this new stadium was finished back in 2019. This game's going to be brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. Stuart Pearce is alongside me, and it's not a team of strangers that Pep Guardiola puts out there. He could have easily made 8 or 9 changes, and I wouldn't have been that surprised, Stuart, but 6 changes means there's still a bit of continuity from the Newcastle team.
Oh, very much so. When you look at the wide players, he's almost got like for like in the wide areas. Doku and Savinho coming in for Grealish and Silva. It's very like for like, and you wouldn't know on what given day. Foden coming in, obviously, there's no change there. Top quality player. So that's the mark of the squad that they've got here. And they'll be expecting a victory tonight. Quite an off-key disappointing performance, albeit Newcastle done reasonably well at the weekend. They'll be disappointed they've dropped points.
And we can say that about the performance against Inter Milan as well on match night 1, can't we? 0-0 at the Etihad.
Yeah, we certainly can. As I say, you've got 8 games in this group stage finale. They'll want to finish in the top 8. We were speaking off air beforehand on how many games you might have to win at 8 matches. Probably 5 games you would suspect. 5 games plus will put you in those top echelons.
Already we've got a goal in League 2. Morecambe still haven't won yet, but they lead Bradford City through an own goal from Czech Diabate. Morecambe 1, Bradford 0. A whole host of games in the EFL tonight. We'll keep you updated with those. But it's high time ahead of kick-off that we got the odds with our friends at William Hill.
In the Zone on Talksport 2 with William Hill. Prepare for greatness with William Hill. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Lee Phelps joins us to discuss the latest odds. I'd love to know what Slovan Bratislava are, Lee, to cause an upset and win tonight. They must be very long price for a home team.
45-1.
Oh my goodness. In a 2-horse race, Lee.
Yeah, technically 3 because the draw is in there, but the draw's
true.
The draw's 14-1. Man City are 25-1 on to win this. I mean, they're an interesting side, Bratislava, aren't they? Of course, they got hammered by Celtic, and then since then they've actually scored 12 goals in 3 games. They are conceding as well. Look, I think can you give them a goal? I think is the way you've got to look at this. If you're looking at a bet on the outrights, obviously you're not going to have a bet on Man City at 1-25. But the remarkable thing is, if you can fashion an argument that Bratislava, who have got goals in them, as I've just said, can get a goal, then you can get Man City to win with both teams scoring at a smidgen under 2-1, which is a massive difference between 25-1 on and 19-10 for them to win the game. With it could be 6-1 and you still get paid out if City win 6-1. There's loads of enhanced odds around this, which are all based around City players. Jeremy Doku to assist a goal. Was 7-4, now 2-1. Haaland to score, assisted by Foden, is now 11-4. Haaland to score a hat-trick, was 7-2, now 4-1. This is an interesting one. John Stones to score a header, of course, he's done it recently, hasn't he? Was 12-1, now 14-1. I've put a bet builder together, and it has got a little bit of interest from the Bratislava side of things. It's Erling Haaland to score at any time in the game. It's over 7.5 match corners. These two should get that. I think it'll be an attacking game. And the man who you mentioned mentioned just now in the team news, Tigran Barsegian, to have over 1 shot on target. Now, that comes to 12-1. It's 15-1 with the 25% boost you get if you're backing it on the app. But I think if you're just going for a goal scorer, you want a little bit of an outsider goal scorer, then Barsegian to score at any time in this game is 15-2. He's in sensational goal scoring form. He scored 7 in the league for them. He scored 1 in the cup and 2 in the Champions League so far. So in really good goal scoring form. Also scored for Armenia in the Euro qualifiers as well. So in good nick. If you want something just on the outsider chance, then 15-2 for him to score at any time in the game. But I like Man City to win and both teams to score at 19-10.
Lee, thanks very much indeed. I'd love to know if anybody's had a nibble at 45-1 for Slovan Bratislava. That's all thanks to William Hill. Get epic value all season with William Hill. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org is the website.
In the Zone on Talksport 2 with William Hill. Prepare for greatness with William Hill. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
You're listening to the Champions League live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day. Goal in League 1, Northampton 0, Bolton Wanderers 1. Bolton win-loss in their last 5, and John McAtee has given them the lead at Sixfields. That's 17th against 14th in League 1. We've got the light show going on at the Tehele Polet Stadium in Bratislava ahead of kick-off. Very dramatic. Really are looking forward to their first ever home tie in the UEFA Champions League. Let's quickly hear about Phil Foden, hoping to make an impression tonight. His start to the season has been affected by injury and illness, much of it on the subs bench. But ahead of the game, Pep Guardiola, his boss, has no doubts he'll be back to his best soon.
I can have some doubts in many things, but the feel that he's going to be back will be back. As much he feels good, he will be back. I think the 30 minutes play in Champions Park, I felt already something that I like it that I didn't see, for example, against Watford. And we cannot forget, after European have been 2 months, might have 2 months or maybe more without training, with the problems he had a little bit with Nichols and some problems in his health, and now he's a little bit smiling and a little bit, in his rhythm. So we cannot forget, we have done so far what we have done without him, the best player of the Premier League last season. So we need him as he's an important player for us. But I don't have any doubts. The way he loves to play football and the way he training and his passion, he will be back and he's going to help us like he helped since he landed in the first team for Man City.
Pep Guardiola speaking about his star midfielder Phil Foden, who's been wrapped in cotton wool really since the start of the season, but he gets the nod tonight to be part of City's attacking midfield. Both teams are in the tunnel waiting to emerge, and it will be a brilliant atmosphere, I imagine, in that stadium tonight. There have been Slovakian representatives in the Champions League before. Zelinya, who are currently second in the Slovakian league, just behind Slovan Bratislava. But my word, Stuart Pearce, when you think there's 8 games in this group stage alone, Slovan Bratislava had to play 4 qualifying rounds of 2 legs each to get to the group stages. So they had a real slog from, mid-July, maybe even early July, to get to this point. So to have a home tie, their first ever home tie, the roar when they come out should be huge.
Oh, it's a fantastic game for Slovan, without a doubt. I mean, when you consider the weight of games just in this alone, let alone the league campaign that you've got to run alongside it, and the cup campaign, the domestic cup, it's quite incredible. It's and to be fair, I think with Slovan getting to this stage, with all the money that's going to bring into the club, it can only help enhance the club going forward.
The new stadium they have does look terrific, very nicely appointed. Don't think it's too far from the River Danube in the centre of Bratislava. You're listening to the Champions League live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has vans of all shapes and sizes, so if you've got a plan, they've got a van. There's lots of early goals going in the EFL. Newport County leads Salford in League 2. Kyle Hudlin, their giant striker, putting them ahead. Wrexham are 1-0 down at Stevenage. Louis Thompson putting Borough ahead. Luton Town, they got to defeat last time out after 2 wins. They're ahead against Oxford United. Jordan Clark for Luton. Notts County towards the top of League 2. They lead at Carlisle through Alassane Yatta, and Wigan back in League 1 are 1-0 up on Peterborough. Dale Taylor for the Latics, who've had 3 straight draws going into this game. So the handshakes begin as the City players work their way down the line. And again, I'll remind you of the lineups. We'll start with Manchester City. Ortega in goal, Lewis, Stones, Akanji, Gvardiol, Gundogan and Nunez, and then Savinho, Foden and Doku behind Haaland. For Bratislava, Takac the goalkeeper, Blackman, Kasia, Bajric and Wimmer in the back 4. Wimmer, the former Spurs player, Savidis, Tolic and Inyatenko in midfield, Bazagian, Strelec and Weiss, the former Manchester City Academy graduate and captain of the Slovan Bratislava team. There's a massive tifo. The game begins. We are ready. So there's a massive flag behind one of the goals at the stadium. All Italian officials tonight, led by David Massa, who's our referee, and the VAR and assistant VAR are also from Italy. Another goal going in the Championship. Coventry, no win in 5, lead Blackburn, who are 4 unbeaten. Red goal from Jake Bidwell up from the back, and Mansfield, who've started life in League 1 very nicely indeed, they lead at Crawley by 1-0. Lee Gregory with his 6th goal of the season. What a terrific capture he's been from Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, good looking like a good result for Nigel Clough.
It is. He's playing. Nigel has got Mansfield into 5th place, having won promotion along with Wrexham and Stockport. And everybody was talking about Wrexham and Stockport at the start of this season as being able to go through the divisions. But Mansfield are doing well. What of Manchester City? Where can they slip up tonight? Complacency, I suppose, Stuart?
Well, you would think that. I mean, when you listen to the odds before the game, 45 to 1 on, 45 to 1 for Slovan to win the game, which is absolutely ridiculous odds. But listen, this is the Champions League, you know, in a 2-horse race, so definitely a bit of complacency if it creeps in. They'll know they need a slightly better performance than they had at the weekend, I think. But you listen, they're a quality outfit.
Ready for the off on Talksport 2. Choice of commentaries tonight: Arsenal, Paris Saint-Germain on Talksport. If you've got the app, the Talksport app, free to download for your phone. You can just swipe between the two stations. City are wearing their change strip of the all burgundy shirts, shorts and socks. Slovan, Bratislava all in white with a little bit of light blue trim and light blue numbers on the back, which are not the easiest to read from our vantage point here at Talksport Towers.
No, certainly not.
But the ball's back with John Stones in the centre circle. Playing at centre half tonight, there were some thoughts that Stones might be utilised in that defensive midfield position tonight, but he's a centre half alongside Akanji. Doku popping up on the right hand side for Manchester City, just drifts away from Weiss and wins a corner, hits it against Wimmer, and Manchester City have won their first corner of the game inside a minute, 0-0.
Yeah, I thought Doku might start on the left hand side. I think that's where he prefers to play, where he can cut inside and open the goal up a touch, but that's certainly not the case. I'm sure during the evening both him and Savinio will swap.
Bromley 1, Chesterfield 0 in Leeds 2, and Norwich are in front against Leeds. Josh Sargent with their goal at Carrow Road against Leeds United, 1-0 there. Sargent with the first goal, the American. Now, corner kick, which will now be taken. There was a slight delay. Referee was sorting out some pushing and shoving in the box. Gundogan to take it, right-footed out swinger, headed away at the near post, and Slovan Bratislava should be able to lead a counter, and Vladimir Weiss is making tracks over the halfway line and steps inside Foden, and he's carrying the ball forward, finds Strelic right-hand corner of the box, and Strelic drives it across the face of goal and only just wide of Ortega's right-hand post. And that could have been 1-0 Slovan inside 2 minutes with a counter-attack.
Well, I've got to say, Dan, the clinical nature which they broke from getting first contact in their own box from a corner, the passing was absolutely clinical from start to finish, and the finish itself was probably a matter of inches past the far post. Fantastic counter-attack, and there's the warning sign straight away for Man City.
0-0, but a shot across the bows. Doku popping up right-hand side of the area, flicks it down for Rico Lewis, pulls it back from the dead ball line, and Haaland couldn't wrap his foot round it enough, and it went the wrong side of the post, and it'll be a goal kick to Slovan Bratislava. 2 minutes gone and chances either end, 0-0.
Yeah, I think this game, there was a suggestion pre-game that there was going to be goals for both teams in this, and the early interactions are suggesting that is the case.
So a goal kick for Slovan to be taken by Dominik Takac, new signing from Spartak Trnava. Elsewhere in this part of the world, throw into Slovan on the halfway line to be taken by Cesar Blackman, the Panamanian right back. Works it back to Kashia, who's under pressure from Haaland. Oh, and he's given a short back pass. Haaland finds Foden in the area. No, he's passed it behind Foden, and Wimmer's able to half clear. But they have it back again left-hand side, Manchester City. And it's with Savinio trying to twist and turn and then runs out of room. Runs out of room on that far side against Cesar Blackman, and it's a throw-in to Slovan. And a weak back pass gave Haaland a big chance to set up his teammate there.
Well, as you can tell with defenders, sometimes when Haaland sets sail and he's coming in behind you, it was the panic in the defender that made him give the ball away and go to ground trying to do so. But Slovan have shown and demonstrated in these early stages they can be breached rather easily, not getting particularly tight with their men. And City are finding it easy to break into the final third.
Now in the centre of the pitch, Bratislava trying to bring the ball clear. Weiss wins a little toe-in on halfway. Rico Lewis tries to turn it back to Ortega, has to come out of his ground just to stay away from Strelic. who very nearly got onto the loose ball, but instead Akanji now calms it down. Finds the captain Gundogan, who's running through the centre circle. Plays it immediate left. Nunez tucks it out to Savinho on the left wing. Haaland waiting for a cross. The ball goes back in field to Gundogan, 30 yards out. Clipped to the far side of the field, looking for the run of Doku, but it's hit too straight by Gundogan and goes out on the full for a Slovan goal kick. 0-0.
I mean, that pass there, Dance, it was symptomatic of what I watched all the first half and a little bit of the second half of Gundogan's performance. Stuff that is an easy pass for a player of his quality, just to pick someone out. He's overhit it and pulled it too straight out of play, and let's hopefully that doesn't continue.
0-0 here. Elsewhere in the EFL, Walsall starting the night in second in League 2, lead Fleetwood by a goal to 0. Harry Williams. Tranmere take the lead against Swindon in the same division through Christian Dennis, and Chesterfield have equalised at Bromley in League 2 as well. That's Will Grigg making it 1-1. Gundogan in the centre circle for Manchester City. 0-0 with 5 minutes gone on Talksport 2 on Champions League Live. Here is Doku popping at right hand corner of the penalty area. Feeds it inside to Gundogan at the edge of the area. Gives it back to Doku because he was immediately closed down Gundogan before he could get any thoughts of a shot away. Doku plays it back into centre field. Stones, centre of the Slovan half. It's tucked forward by Gundogan. Foden will steer it out to Savinho on the left wing. Savinho, left-hand corner of the penalty area, goes on the outside of Blackman, gets a cross in, and it's headed away by Kashia. And Barsegian giving chase, but come to be won by John Stones. And it's Gundogan again. May well be attack versus defence. This is the pattern that we're going to see. Savinho to the dead ball line, pulls it back over the head of Kashia, but his centre-half partner Bajric got there just ahead of Haaland, and it's a Manchester City throw. Gvardiol will take it quickly. Savinho down that far left-hand side, gives it back to the Croatian, who scored that lovely goal at St James's Park on Saturday to put City ahead. Lovely move. And Gvardiol forced back to the halfway line. 6.5 gone. 0-0. And Celtic have gone behind in Dortmund. Emre Can has given Borussia Dortmund the lead in that Champions League tie. Still 0-0. Arsenal, Paris Saint-Germain. Here's Doku inside the area, right hand side for City, trying to make space, get the ball into his left foot, thought about a shot, and then Nunez tried to lay it off to Gundogan and got the layoff all wrong, but City have kept possession. Stones just in front of the centre circle, plays it to his immediate right for Lewis. On the overlap is Doku, gets to the dead ball line, wraps his foot around the cross, very deep to the far post, volleyed goalwards, comes out to the edge of the area, and Gundogan scores via a deflection. The goalkeeper went to his left, but the ball deflected away to his right, and after a period of fairly intense pressure, Manchester City hit the front, and it's their skipper Gundogan who will claim it. The drive from the edge of the area, deflected away from the goalkeeper and in. It's Slovan Bratislava 0, Manchester City 1.
Well, I've got to say, Dan, they're giving Manchester City so much room to build attacks in and around that final third and create good opportunities in wide areas. And when it come out to Gundogan, he got his shooting boots on all right tonight, drove it, a deflection was helpful to him, ended up in the back of the net, and this could be quite a big score.
Gundogan won 12 trophies in his first stint as a Manchester City player. He was Pep Guardiola's first signing when he first came to the club. Made his return in the summer when he was surplus to requirements at Barca, and now he's back amongst the goals as skipper tonight. 8.5 minutes gone and the deadlock is broken. Savinho trying to get away down the left-hand side. Blackman with an important touch, and he'll steer it clear. That shot from Gundogan, it came off Savidis, the midfielder, who was trying to clear it on the volley, but it came off his right shin and deflected away from the goalkeeper Takac and into the net for 1-0.
Yeah, nothing you could do about that deflection. I don't think he was right in the firing line. Goalkeeper stood behind him probably about 13 metres, just couldn't do anything about it. And as I say, good start for City.
They lead 1-0. Long ball downfield, trying to get Barsegian in behind Gvardiol. He's chested the ball down at the edge of the area, goes down, wanting a free kick. Well, the crowd wanted the free kick more than him. Didn't really protest too much, and the Italian referee was not interested. Barcelona lead Young Boys by a goal to nil. Robert Lewandowski in the Champions League. And in the EFL, Bolton are 2-0 up at Northampton. George Thomason, the second for the Trotters. And Dyson Maeda has equalised for Celtic. That's 1-1 in Dortmund. Doku for City, again getting to the byline, trying to pull it back, and it came off Doku last of all. He wanted a corner, but a goal kick has been given away to the right-hand side. Slovan 0, Manchester City 1.
Yeah, just on this left-hand side, I'm starting to see why he's played Doku out here on the right. He's got the freedom to receive the ball in a sort of right-wing position, if you like. The left-back just tucking in too far. Vladimir Weiss not offering a great deal of cover to his full-back. And to be honest with you, he's getting the freedom of Bratislava at the moment.
He certainly is, and Wimmer's not really a left-back. Remember him at Spurs, he's an auxiliary, he's an orthodox centre-half, really.
Yeah, and his start position is probably too narrow. It's fantastic being tucked in, helping your centre-halves, but sometimes you've got to help yourself a little bit.
Gillingham 0, Grimsby 1. That's the leaders of League 2 behind Kieran Green. Fleetwood have equalised at Walsall. Ronan Coughlin making it 1-1. Inter 1-0 up on Red Star in the Champions League. Hakan Çalhanoğlu. And Dortmund are back ahead against Celtic. Dyson Maeda had them level for about a minute. And now Dortmund are 2-1 up at the Westfalenstadion via a deflection. But it's 1-0 in our commentary match here to Manchester City with 11 minutes gone in Bratislava. Akanji finds Doku on this near touchline, but he's a bit deeper at the moment, not quite level with the penalty area. Plays the ball back in field to Akanji. And Akanji back into the centre circle for Stones. Just passes calmly out left to Savinho. Again trying to isolate Blackman. Ball goes infield and a terrible touch from Gundogan. Ball completely ricocheted away from him. But Bratislava making a bit of a haulix to the clearance. Tolic, who had that early chance to give Slovan a shock lead, trying to get the ball clear. Lobbed down the right-hand side by Blackman, who'll get a second chance at getting rid of it. It goes out of play for a Manchester City throw. Burnley lead Plymouth in the Championship. Josh Brownhill gets the goal for the Clarets at Turf Moor against Plymouth. That's his fourth of the season, Josh Brownhill, from midfield. And it was Karim Adeyemi that got that second for Borussia Dortmund against Celtic. 2-1 they lead. Newport 2-0 up on Salford in League 2. Aaron Wildig. Savinho for Manchester City. Finds Nunez. Goes back to Stones, just in front of the centre circle inside the Slovan half. Whistles go up around the stadium. City 1-0 up and passing the ball around quite comfortably in the middle third of the pitch, now trying to find that angle with which to break in behind the Bratislava backline. Back he goes to Gvardiol. And now out to the left-hand side for Phil Foden, who slides in Nunez down the left-hand side of the box. Great challenge by Cashier, the centre-half. And Blackman will backheel it for Cashier. Good clearance. Decent defending there from Bratislava as Man City threatened against Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, but they're so open, Bratislava, that it's like mannequins behind the ball, and City are just finding the space between those mannequins, and it's just too easy for them. This is the perfect Champions League game for them at the moment. They enjoy passing the ball, City. They can do that, and so much space available.
Gundogan robbed by Vladimir Weiss, who's now trying to launch a counter-attack. And there on the right-hand side is Tolic, early cross, looking for Strelec. But on the stretch with a Manchester City defence to comfortably win it back. And the ball's out with Doku. Now he can have a run, can stretch his legs and run down this right-hand side for Manchester City. Gets to level with the edge of the penalty area. Faced up by Wimmer. Elects not to go on the outside of him, instead lays it off to Akanji. Akanji thinks about a cross, tries to get it back to Doku, sliding it down the right-hand side of the box, but that was well intercepted. And then poor pass up to halfway. Strelec and Wimmer got in a bit of a communication breakdown, and City have it back. Foden, centre of the Slovan half. Good ball out to Doku. Right-hand side, getting into the area. Wimmer backpedaling, plays it back to Foden, edge of the area, and that's 2-0. Phil Foden back in the starting lineup. and a beautifully cultured finish to measure a left-footed shot along the deck, past the outstretched arm of the goalkeeper. He's back, and he's back amongst the goals. Phil Foden makes his Slovan 0, Manchester City 2.
Well, I've got to say, I've just mentioned earlier about the amount of space that Manchester City have got. Doku can receive in acres of space. Foden, loads of space in the box. Just lifted his head and guided it into the far corner. Wonderful finish, I've got to say. But Slovan defensively, in all honesty, I think Manchester City would probably have more pressure put on them by playing a non-league team than they're suffering tonight, Danes.
So his first Champions League goal of the season. He got a half against Inter Milan in that disappointing 0-0 draw. But already, with just a quarter of an hour on the watch, Manchester City are in total control in Slovakia.
Games like tonight, Dance, are absolutely perfect for City, aren't they? You know, they look as though they're not going to tax themselves too much and get a comfortable victory and enjoy it in the back of the net as well.
Now here is the captain Gundogan, who scored the first via a deflection. QPR 0, Hull 1. Cody Drammer for Hull City, who've managed a couple of wins under Tim Walter to calm a few early season nerves at Hull, so they lead at Loftus Road in the Championship. PSV 1, Sporting 0. Jordi Schouten for the side from Eindhoven. Manchester City 2-0 up here already. Still 0-0 Arsenal PSG. That's over on Talksport right now with Sam Matterface and Darren Bent at Emirates Stadium. Gundogan for Man City finds Rico Lewis at the edge of the D, sets up Haaland, and the shot is blocked by the keeper. You'd have put your house on that being 3-0, but the goalkeeper had other ideas and spread himself well to block the shot from Haaland 8 yards out. 2-0.
Yeah, Lewis done well, just prodded one into the box. Haaland got onto it and then just didn't look as comfortable on that right hand side, and goalkeeper done well, credit to him.
The corners work from right to left by Manchester City. Here's Gvardiol, square ball for Foden, midway point of the Slovan half. Plays a little 1-2 with his captain Gundogan, then tucks it back to Lewis inside the centre circle, who's looking for an option. Nunez is there inside right channel, goes infield to Lewis. Lewis gives it back to Nunez inside the area, couldn't quite get onto it. It was an important interception by Bajrić, the centre half. But Manchester City look threatening every single time they come forward. 2-0 there.
Yeah, they do. They got options in the wide areas, mainly Doku. I've got to say, he can be the outlet every time. And, well, literally the defensive shape's okay, but once you get in that shape, you actually have to go tight to people and get touch tight and put some pressure on the ball, which they're not doing.
So another corner to Manchester City, away to the right-hand side. Gundogan takes very, very deep. Drops at the far post, and it has to be sent back to Lewis again in the centre circle. Foden just to his right. Bristol Rovers lead Charlton Athletic by a goal to 0. Scott Sinclair, 2-2 for him. He scored at the weekend in Bristol Rovers' defeat at the Men, but they lead again. Here's Doku for Manchester City at 2-0. Running at Wimmer. Gets a 1-2 back inside the area. Tries to pull it back from the dead ball line, and that's gone behind for another Manchester City corner. And Doku really is up for this tonight, you can tell. He's got space to operate in, and my word, he's operating in it.
He certainly is, and you can see why Pep's had a look at the opposition, thought to himself, you know what, Doku's favoured position's probably on the left in his mind. I'm going to play him on the right because he's going to get so much space, and going on the outside is the order of the day.
Doku works it infield to Nunez. Plays a 1-2 with Foden, and another 1-2 with the England star. Lovely turn from Nunez to get away from his man. Tries to roll it into the area, but he can't find the intended teammate, and it's cleared downfield. And it's going to be a throw-in to Manchester City. 19 minutes gone. Manchester City 2-0 up. Goals from Gundogan and Foden on his return to the starting lineup. But looking at Pep Guardiola's face, as usual, you would have no idea that Manchester City were in control, never ever satisfied.
No, the way he drives this team is incredible, I've got to say. And if I was in his position at the moment looking at this performance, you'd be disappointed if City don't get 5+ out of this game, the room that they've got to play in.
Lewis for Manchester City plays the ball into Gundogan, gets it back, and now Stones just in front of the centre circle. Elects to roll it back to Foden in the inside right position. Doku on his outside. It's fed to Doku at the dead ball line. First time cross into the near post, heading up and out by Bajric. But Man City get onto the Lewis ball. Akanji just lobbing the ball into his own path down the right wing. Eventually loses out. Wimmer with a hurried clearance straight to John Stones. Notts County 2-0 up at Carlisle in League Two. Scott Robertson with the second for County. Manchester City leading by the same scoreline in Bratislava. Ball's out on the left-hand side with Gvardiol. Savinho's pushed in field for the moment. Gvardiol plays a square ball across to Akanji as we reach the 20-minute mark on Talksport 2. Doku again, running at Vice this time. Jinks on the outside of him, wins yet another corner for Manchester City away to the right-hand side. It's 2-0 to City. This game is brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. Stuart Pearce alongside me tonight on commentary.
Yeah, as I say, City got 2 very good goals, I've got to say, but they've got the freedom of Bratislava at the moment. They really have. They pass at will in and around the box. It's just a matter of time before the third goal comes and more.
Gundogan with the latest corner for City, right-footed outswinger, looking for Haaland, who tries to get onto it around the penalty spot. The home side get it half clear, but Gundogan wins it back. Doku does well to keep it in play, passes back to his own half where Ortega's waiting, and very calmly spreads play right to left to find Gvardiol in space. And now Savinho jinks on the outside of the defender, gets to the byline. Guess what? It's another Manchester City corner. 2-0 up as Arsenal take the lead against Paris Saint-Germain. Live on Talksport. Kai Havertz with the opener at the Emirates. You can listen to commentary of that game right now with Sam Matterface and Darren Bent over on Talksport. Swipe left and right on the app to move between the two stations and our 2 Champions League commentaries tonight. You'll have the same tomorrow with Villa Bayern Munich on Talksport and Liverpool Bologna on Talksport 2. Corner kick then for Manchester City. The referee was just checking something with the VAR. The Bratislava fans still making so much noise behind that goal. In it comes from Savinho, drops at the edge of the area. Lewis tries to win it, can't quite do so, and Bratislava clear their lines, and it's kept in play by Basegian on the far side of the field. Coming in field, runs into traffic, and Manchester City win it back. 2-0 up they are.
Yeah, they've looked quite threatening in possession on the counter-attack. I've got to say, it's just their defensive work's been woeful, Slovan. Just looking at the fans there, they literally are bouncing up and down and moving from left to right across the pitch.
It's like an optical illusion. Doku again for City, down the right-hand side of the box, a couple of step-overs. Lays it off to Lewis with a shot. Keeper can't hold it. Wimmer heads it half clear, and it's won back by Akanji. Doku again in the box, can go for goal, and it's the angle of post and bar. And it comes out to the left-hand side, and Savinho, he's dispossessed by Blackman, but his clearance only finds Gvardiol. Incessant pressure from Manchester City. And it's Doku again, who's in behind Vladimir Weiss. Into the area right-hand side, gives it to Lewis at the edge of the box. He has to turn away from trouble. Feeding back to Akanji. Gundogan and Foden just trying to play the ball round the corner at the edge of the box. And then a loose pass from Akanji is picked off by Slovan. And Akanji brings down his man in the centre circle, and a rare chance for Bratislava to get into the City half of the field midway through the first half on Talksport 2. It's 2-0 to City.
Well, I've got to say, Bratislava do break quite quickly. You've got to watch them. Strelic has been one of the main protagonists in that. And I'm just looking at the defensive work of Vladimir Weiss, and to be honest with you,
there isn't any.
No. I know your dad's the manager, but you've got to lead from the front. You're the captain of the team. literally just stood around watching Doku, thinking to himself, you know what, I don't want to get involved trying to stop him because I can't.
Yeah, just stood and admired as Doku just ran rings round him. Reading 1, Burton 0 in League One. Shem Campbell for Reading. Hull a 2 up at QPR. Chris Badia. Cardiff lead Millwall by 1-0. Omar Risa wants the job at Cardiff permanently, and they have the lead through Perry NG. Chesterfield have turned it around at Bromley. They now lead 2-1. Will Grigg with a second of the night, and a foul on Vladimir Weiss gives Slovan Bratislava 2-0 down. A free kick inside their own half. More goals going in. Exeter lead at Leyton Orient in League One. Armani Richards with a goal for the Grecians. And Accrington Stanley lead at Cheltenham by 1-0. Dara Costello. Luton 2-0 up on Oxford as well, I should mention. Tom Krause with the second for Luton. Arsenal 1-0 up against Paris Saint-Germain. Celtic 2-1 down in Dortmund. And here on Talksport 2 we played 25 minutes and Manchester City firmly in control. 2-0 up, and they've hit the angle of post and bar in the search for a third. Rico Lewis just in front of the centre circle, plays into the feet of Foden. Gundogan finds Foden again, scheming his way in between the lines to the edge of the area, and the shot is pushed onto the post unconvincingly by Takac, the keeper. That could easily have squirmed through its grasp and drifted into the net. As it turned out, it hit the base of the post and came back into the grateful goalkeeper's arms. So close to 3-0 again for Man City.
Well,
as out comes Ortega to the midway point of the half, but Varsegin was offside chasing after it. Free kick to City.
the room Foden had to receive, get turned and get a shot away was incredible. And then the goalkeeping was akin to myself playing in the West Fulham District probably about 3 decades ago. Dan's awful goalkeeping, and how he's got away with that, I do not know.
Yeah, the ball was definitely a bar of soap as it came at him there, Takac, but the post came to his rescue, and he could pounce on the loose ball before any of the burgundy City shirts could get onto second ball. Pulls out for a throw on the far side. Sunderland 1, Derby 0 in the Championship. Joe Bellingham gets the opener at the Stadium of Light. Sunderland second in the Championship. Accrington Stanley 1-0 up at Cheltenham, as I mentioned. Celtic 2-1 down. Arsenal 1-0 up on Talksport. Lewis back for Akanji. Lewis again, wanting to feed it into the feet of Doku on this near touchline. Doku will now skip in field from the right-hand touchline. Finds Lewis at the edge of the area. Lewis takes a touch, finds Foden, tries to tee up Nunez at the edge of the box, who tried to wrap his left foot round it, but didn't wrap it round it enough. And it goes into the Slovan fans behind the goal for a goal kick. 2-0 to Manchester City.
Well, it's good to see Vladimir Weiss has worked out how to deal with his defensive responsibilities. He's decided to play in the middle of the pitch now, so he doesn't have to run back and deal with any of the wide players. But the room that they've got, City, they'll be really disappointed if they don't come away at least with 4 goals from this game.
Oh, now a poor pass from Tolic on this near side. Went straight out of play for a City throw. There's just no respite, or rarely any respite, for these Slovan defenders from, well, the onslaught. There's no other word for it.
Yeah, if they got their defensive pressing right, they've had probably about 2 or 3 good opportunities on the counter-attack. But the trouble is, you've got to turn the ball over to counter-attack the opposition. If you don't get your positional defensive play right, you're never going to do that.
Here is Vladimir Weiss, the Slovan captain and former City Academy graduate, playing in the centre of the field. His ball up to halfway, does find its way through to Cesar Blackman, who's breaking over halfway, the right back, trying to release Strelic through the middle, but it's tidied up by Rico Lewis, and he finds Doku. Lovely skill from Doku, skip away from a challenge and then holds his run. Very neatly done from the young Belgian, who has become attuned to Pep Guardiola's methods and the whole City method very, very quickly indeed, Jeremy Doku.
Yeah, I mean, his feet are absolutely electric. They're a fullback's nightmare, to be fair. I go to sleep at night and wake up in cold sweats looking at the quickness of his feet. I'm just pleased I'm retired. But what you would say, sometimes his end product is a little bit wanting, but listen, his creative play is very, very good.
Rico Lewis might find Doku again. He's caught, but referee gives advantage because City have kept possession. Stones, midway point of the half, has to tuck it back in field for Akanji. Shrewsbury 0, Stockport 1. Ethan Pye puts Stockport ahead right on half-time at the Greenhouse Meadow. Manchester City have it out on the left-hand side as we approach the half-hour mark here in this 8 o'clock kickoff. Ball's back with Akanji, centre of the Slovan half. Borussia Dortmund 3-1 up on Celtic. Karim Adeyemi has his second and Dortmund's third. As the ball's played in by Savinho, looking for Nunez, but he couldn't give it back to his teammate, and another chance for Slovan Bratislava to break. Strelec on halfway, but the ball ricocheted off the City player. Ortega elects not to pick it up just in case it's seen as a back pass from 65 yards away, and City bring it clear.
Yeah, as I say, every now and then when Bratislava pick the ball up and they do move forward, because City are in such a comfortable mode in their play, that the alarm bells ring because you're not attuned into defending on the odd occasion.
That's the voice of Stuart Pearce alongside me, Ian Danter. You're listening to Slovan Bratislava 0, Manchester City 2 in the Champions League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day. Cross from Strelec from the left-hand side causes Gvardiol a bit of a problem, but Tolic couldn't profit from it, and it's brought away by Manchester City. Foden spots Doku making a run. Haaland's gone through the middle. Doku getting up to the right-hand corner of the box. Still got defenders backpedaling. Doku pulls it across the face of goal, and Haaland couldn't get a touch, and it just screws behind for a goal kick to Slovan Bratislava. Another good chance goes begging for Manchester City to extend their lead.
Yeah, as I say, they broke brilliantly well, and Savinho, it was broke, and once the ball come out to Doku, he's just in these wide areas, you just can't stop him. I think he should have been shooting there. He unselfishly rolled it across the face of the goal, put too much pace on it though for Haaland to get on the end of it.
Luton 2, Oxford 1, right on half-time. Oxford get a goal back through Tyler Goodrum. Queen's Park get a goal back at home to Hull City, again right on the break. Nicholas Madsen making it QPR 1, Hull 2. Walsall back in front against Fleetwood, that's 2-1, Jamil Matt. And Newcastle lead in that one Carabao Cup tie tonight against AFC Wimbledon. Fabian Schär putting Newcastle ahead in that rearranged tie after the original tie that was due this time last week was postponed because of all the hideous problems that AFC Wimbledon have with the Plough Lane pitch. Ball's out of play, and Slovan will have a goal kick away to our right hand side. They've won 7 out of their 8 league games so far this season, Slovan, but they conceded 5 goals in both their defeats. 5 to Celtic in the Champions League at Celtic Park, and 5 at home to their rival Zelinya in a league game. So when they lose, it seems Stuart Pearce, they get gubs, yeah.
To be fair, they've demonstrated to me over this half hour that they can ship at least 5 goals in a game, and the only thing that surprised me is City haven't got the third by now.
Ball's with Manuel Akanji just shy of the halfway line. MK Dons have got a 2-0 lead right on half-time at Harrogate Town. Joe White, I think that's his second of the night for the MK Dons.
I think Slovan have had a change here. Looks as though they've gone to 5-3-2 by the looks of that lineup. Yeah, that's how it looks. Whether that will be enough to slow down Doku or not, I don't know.
Yeah, they've pushed, I think it's Inyatenko into the right-hand side of the 3 centre-halves from where he was in defensive midfield. Vim has gone to left wing-back, Blackman to right wing-back. Ball's back with Akanji on halfway. A thunderclap goes up around the stadium from the Slovan fans, who are at least enjoying their night, despite the fact that their team is very much second best here against the might of the champions from 2 seasons ago. Lewis finds Gundogan, slides into Foden, tried a first-time pass over the 18-yard line to get Haaland in on goal, but it was intercepted. Pulls out to the right-hand side and saves the Blackman. Good ball in field to Barzagian. Trying to feed it back to Blackman on the right-hand side, but tidied up by City. And Ortega, who had that fright early on when that Tolic shot just whistled past his right-hand post, has had very, very little to do since then.
Next to nothing, to be fair, but there has been the odd break, but they've not managed to find a pass to pressure the goalkeeper at this stage.
Barcelona 2, young boys Nil Rafinha with a second for Barca, and MK Dons 3-0 up on Harrogate right on half-time. Alex Gilby gets the third for Milton Keynes. Ball's out on the left-hand side for Slovan with Kevin Wimmer. Up to Vladimir Weiss, but his back heel infield. Easy pickings for the Manchester City midfield. And they win a throw. Yeah, if you weren't the manager's son and captain of the side, you might conceivably, Stuart Pearce, get accused of not trying a leg out there for your team.
Right, it certainly looks that way. His team need him not just as an attacking force, but also a body to defend as well.
Stones for Manchester City. 2-0 up, 10 to half-time on Talksport 2. Finds Gvardiol. Good ball in field to Lewis as he charges towards the edge of the area. Rolls it out to the right wing and Doku. Back in field to Foden. Foden's going to go for goal again and drags it wide. Went for the near post as we look. Trying to catch the goalkeeper out who might have suspected. You try and bend it into that far corner again. But he went for the near post instead, but it was a good 3 yards wide. Goal kick.
Yeah, good power in it. There's no doubt about that. He's just closed his foot and gone for that near post area. Probably missed it by a couple of yards, but the room he's got, Dance, on the edge of the box, he can take 2 or 3 touches before anyone's close to him.
That's Stuart Pearce, you can hear alongside me, Ian Dancer. Stuart, the former West Ham, Newcastle, Nottingham Forest and England defender. And over on Talksport, Arsenal are 2-0 up on Paris Saint-Germain. Bukayo Saka with the second for the Gunners. We'll be there again on Saturday afternoon, or at least I will be, for one of our commentaries on Game Day exclusive. That is Arsenal-Southampton at 3 o'clock after Southampton's meek surrender at Bournemouth last night that you heard live on Talksport. It's a big job for Russell Martin to get the troops ready for a trip to somewhere like that. Slovan have a free kick sent into the edge of the Manchester City box, very comfortably dealt with at the back. To remind you of the other games we got for you on Saturday. Palace-Liverpool is the lunchtime game at Selhurst Park. Burnley-Preston at the same time, a Lancashire derby in the EFL here on Talksport 2 at 12:30. And then Arsenal-Southampton at 3. And we're with Liverpool tomorrow night here on Talksport 2 in the Champions League as they take on Champions League debutants Bologna. Champions League debutants here in Slovan Bratislava, not having the easiest time of it against this slick Manchester City machine. Looking out to the left-hand side for Savinho. Says the Blackman did well in the end, in actual fact, and went in and won the ball back on the deck, but he's given it away. Foden finds Gundogan. Now Savinho down the left-hand side of the box, into the near post. It's cleared away by the feet of the goalkeeper. Foden tries to drive it in from the edge of the box, and it goes a good 4 or 5 yards wide. Goal kick. More nervousness at the back for Slovan Bratislava, 2-0 down.
Yeah, Blackman, poor decision there, giving the ball away, and then from that moment on it was panic stations. Come out to the edge of the box to Foden. He's trying to hit across the ball. Got it horribly, well, he hit it too clinically straight, to be quite honest with you. Needed to cut across the face of the ball with that left foot.
A bit like Kevin Wimmer did from a similar position when he scored for Slovan at Celtic. Here come Manchester City again. Gundogan, the captain. So many options around him, but he goes for goal himself and hits the crossbar. Comes out to the left-hand side of the area. Kept in play by Savinho. Left-hand side of the box. Few step-overs from him. Pulls it beyond Haaland, beyond the far post, but Doku will keep it in play. On the right-hand side, into the area. Feints to cross, checks back onto his left foot. Now dinks across to the far post. And Blackman doesn't get a call from anybody around him, despite the fact he was on his own, and turns it behind for yet another Manchester City corner, 2-0.
Yeah, Gundogan there, set his sights on the goal, hit a decent shot. Goalkeeper didn't even dive for it, to be fair. It's rattled the crossbar. One criticism I would say of Manchester City, when they're looking to feed the ball across the face of goal, there's only Haaland looking to be across the face of the goalkeeper, if you like. They probably need a midfield player to make that run as well.
Make it 7 corners that they've had in this first half, just over 5 minutes plus added time to the break. Foul by Doku on Savidis in midfield. It's now 4-1 to Borussia Dortmund against Celtic, so Celtic are getting handed to them what they handed out to Slovan on match night 1. And it's Guerrero, I think, Guerassi with the penalty kick past Kasper Schmeichel. And Barcelona are 3-0 up on Young Boys at the same time in the Champions League, Inigo Martinez. So both Arsenal and Manchester City 2-0 up across the Talksport network. 5 minutes to half time. Here's Wimmer for Slovan down the left hand side of the City half. Weiss picks it up now, just jinks away from Foden, tries to play it up to the edge of the area, straight down the throat of John Stones. Nunez just shy of the halfway line. Haaland starts to make a run left hand side. Savinho calling for it out on the left wing, but Nunez will just lay it off calmly to Gvardiol. Gundogan just by the centre circle, into the feet of Lewis, tries to feed Foden, who gets into the box. Good strength from Phil Foden to hold the ball up and find Doku, right hand corner of the area, steps onto his left and fires a wasteful shot over the bar for a goal kick.
Situations like that with Doku, that it's that end product that you want, you know, a little bit more from him. He's done well, good receiving skills, cut inside, open the goal up, and he really should be hitting the target then. It was a really poor effort.
I said that Celtic were getting handed to them what they handed out to Slovan last week. Well, they definitely are now. It's 5-1 to Borussia Dortmund in Germany in the Champions League. Celtic are getting ripped apart, so their goal difference is back to 0.
All in the first half.
Now away goes Strelic for Slovan Bratislava. Tolic, in actual fact, I beg your pardon, but the offside flag has gone up against him. Almost as soon as he caught up with the ball, he was flagged. It was Adeyemi with I think that's his hat-trick for Borussia Dortmund to make it 5-1. And Manchester City, with 3 minutes to go in this first half, have a free kick which they've taken quickly inside their own half. It's with Manuel Akanji, the Swiss. Weiss is the closest player to him. Gundogan tucks it back to John Stones on halfway. Into the feet of Nunez. It might snake its way through to Haaland, left-hand side of the box. Savinho works it back infield to Gvardiol. Gvardiol finds Gundogan. Gundogan immediately looks for Doku. Right-hand side of the area. Infield it goes to Gundogan. Trying to play a little pass through the legs of a defender to set Lewis away. Slovan got it half clear, and Stones just booted it back to his goalkeeper.
Yeah. Foden getting in some really good receiving positions, I've got to say. Some of that is good play and some of it is just players nowhere near him, to be quite honest with you.
All he had to do was drop 3 yards and he was in.
And create 10.
Yeah. Doku, right hand side of the area, again skips inside, lays it back to the edge of the area. A poor pass. It was picked up by Stones. Akanji to his right. Reading 2, Burton 0 in the 8 o'clock kickoff in League One. Shem Campbell has his second of the night. Now Savinho down the left hand side of the box. Nunez there with him. Ball's taken off Savinho's toe. Weiss has it midway point of his own half. Steps away from Rico Lewis, and then out to the right hand side for Blackman. Parsegian, I think he's offside as he receives that. He is. Now you noted he got one leg tattooed and one that wasn't tattooed when he was warming up, but he's now wearing big long johns over both his legs, so you just can't tell with Parsegian.
We had a commentary all sorted out who was who, didn't we?
did.
And all of a sudden, he's put a pair of slacks on.
And he's custard pied us completely. Pair of slacks. Manuel Akanji across to Gvardiol. Now Savinho again. Left-hand corner of the box. Nunez on the overlap. Plays into the box. It drops for Foden on the volley. Set himself up for the volley in actual fact. 15 yards out, but couldn't keep it down. Savidis was closing down the space as he was about to pull the trigger. So it's a goal kick. And maybe, even though it's been a totally dominant first half and Manchester City are 2 goals to the good, Pep Guardiola might be having a word or two with his players at the break, Stuart Pearce.
I think he'll be a little bit disappointed they've not extended the lead. They've had a lot of final third entries. Very, very little pressure on them when they have been in that final third, and just failed to create enough. Well, saying that, they've hit the woodwork a couple of times and scored 2 goals, so let's not be too critical.
As the whistle goes for half-time, and Manchester City are firmly in control in Slovakia. It took them just 8 minutes to hit the front. Ilkay Gundogan's shot from the edge of the area, deflected by Savidis, the midfielder, past Takac, the goalkeeper, who was already diving one way and couldn't readjust. That was 1-0. And then Phil Foden back in the starting lineup tonight, bent home a sumptuous second along the deck from just inside the edge of the area. Super finish from him. Gundogan's hit the bar. Doku's hit the angle of post and bar. It could be much worse for the home side. It could be so much better for Manchester City at half-time. 2-0, Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, as I say, they've been more than comfortable, City. They've dominated the game. A couple of skirmishes on the counter-attack that have kept them keen, but apart from that, it's their game to go out and get a big score.
76% possession for Manchester City. Well, we did hear from Lee Phelps ahead of kick-off that Slovan were 45-1 to get the home victory.
I think that's just been extended by a couple of thousand.
I think so. And if anybody had a nibble at 45-1, even they're disappointed at this point. But it's been a very, very, very confident Manchester City side. You're listening to Slovan Bratislava 0, Manchester City 2 in the Champions League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has vans of all shapes and sizes, so if you've got a plan, we've got a van. Half-times elsewhere in the Champions League. Borussia Dortmund 5, Celtic 1. Celtic were level at 1-1 early in that first half. And Arsenal 2, Paris Saint-Germain 0. That's live over on Talksport. Kai Havertz and Bukayo Saka with the goals. I wonder, given Stuart Pearce, just before we break for a moment, given that there's only 6 outfield players on the bench for Manchester City, exactly how much rotation we might see from Pep once we get into the second half.
Well, in all honesty, the players that are on the pitch at this moment in time are not extending themselves, you know, so that from Pep's point of view is absolutely ideal. They're not in a physical encounter. It's not as if the opposition are roughing them up in an attempt to get the ball back in any way, shape or form, so I don't think there'll be too many changes.
And yet there was that one moment right at the start of the game where Slovan Bratislava broke very quickly. The one good thing that the captain Vladimir Weiss has done all game, nutmeg Foden as he carried the ball in field and slid in Tolic right hand side of the box, who drove a daisy cutter just wide of Ortega's right hand post. That could have been an incredible start for the hosts.
They come to life when they've got an opportunity of going forward. They don't overly come to life when they've got to do their defensive work. I don't think they enjoy that, but give them an opportunity and face up and face the opposition's goal. They've cut through the thirds quite well and probably done it. I mean, the first one was by far the best, but they've probably done it 3 or 4 times that made you sit up and think, hang on a minute, this could be dangerous.
But in reality, no dramas for Pep Guardiola and Manchester City at the break in Slovakia. Full second half commentary to come, but so far it is Slovan Bratislava 0, Manchester City 2.
Champions League live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day.
After a successful September, we've lots of newly swapped used vans, so it's a fantastic time to shop at Trust Ford. We've a great selection of fresh, approved used van stock. And with Trust Ford now, you can see it, buy it and drive away today. With something for every job, our clearance offers include the fantastic Ford Transit and the versatile Transit Tipper. Looking for something built to work hard and play tough? Then for friendly advice, visit Trust Ford to find out more. Don't miss out. Visit trustford.co.uk.
What can I say, Dave? I owe you everything. I've never trusted anyone like this. I love you, man.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Your new boiler's fitted and good to go.
Need a trusted boiler installer? Buy yours from British Gas. And you can count on our Which accredited traders to install it stress-free. Plus, get up to 3 years interest-free credit. Search British Gas new boiler to find out more. British Gas acts as a credit broker, not a lender. Availability of credit depends on your status and credit checks.
Amazon now brings you the Champions League.
Whoa, Gabby Logan in my living room.
What a fantastic night of football.
Tuesday's must-watch match.
It doesn't get much better than that.
Arsenal versus PSG. Tuesday from 6:30pm. It's on Prime.
You might want to step back from your speaker or remove your headphones.
Yes! I just can't believe it.
Mark's found out he's won £11.4 million on Lotto.
This is just... You know what? I've got tears in my eyes.
Yep, that's 11.4 million. Lotto, will you be the next millionaire? The National Lottery. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.
Aunt Mabel's train's been cancelled.
I'll go and get her.
Rob, don't be silly, it's miles away. And last time she called you Ron. She's not exactly your biggest fan.
It's okay. She won't mind the long route back, right? I'll show her the sights.
He's still got his pyjamas on. Be the master of fun in the new all-electric Mini Cooper. Iconic go-kart feels, standout design, and now with 1 year free car insurance. Book your 24-hour test drive today. Insurance offer valid on electric Mini Coopers ordered by 2nd of January 2025. T's and C's exclusions and eligibility apply. Test drive subject to states and availability.
Hear the biggest sports stories first and fast with the Back Page Review on Talksport with Tesco Mobile for Business. Listen to Talksport Breakfast every weekday morning from 6 for the latest breaking Back Page news, plus unbeatable reaction, opinion and comment. The Back Page Review on Talksport with Tesco Mobile for Business. Join Tesco Mobile and get business phone bills for up to 40% less than the big mobile networks. Tesco Mobile, every little helps. For applicable terms and verification, see tescomobile.com/business.
Talksport 2, official broadcast partner of the Premier League and the English Football League.
Wednesday night, Talksport 2, the Champions League live.
What a move.
Liverpool versus Bologna.
Oh, it's it.
Fill up with pre-match team talk from 7. Teams are face-off at 8.
Wednesday night,
Outstanding straight on Talksport 2.
The Social with Adi Oladipo and Rory Jennings. Tomorrow afternoon from 3 on Talksport 2. Outspoken opinions and decisive debate following all the action.
We talk about football in a bipartisan and educated way. Well, I do at least.
I try.
News, views, fun and football fixtures.
It's not just football though. Bit of boxing, bit of horse racing, even a bit of rugby.
And it's a try!
And some phenomenal guests.
If you can't get in this squad after showing the form he showed, I don't think it looks too good for him.
This is the place to be.
It's Addy and Rory. It's The Social on Talksport 2.
What a goal!
The Social.
Tomorrow afternoon from 3.
It just works, doesn't it? On Talksport 2.
Passion, heartbreak, glory, despair, triumph.
And they're back in the game!
The Champions League live.
What a finish!
On Talksport 2.
The game begins. We are ready. So there's a massive flag behind one of the goals at the stadium. Strelic, right-hand corner of the box, and Strelic drives it across the face of goal and only just wide. Comes out to the edge of the area and Gundogan scores.
They've got the freedom of Bratislava at the moment. They really have.
Plays it back to Foden, edge of the area, and that's 2-0. Phil Foden.
So open, Bratislava, that it's like mannequins behind the ball, and City are just finding the space between those mannequins.
Doku again in the box, can go for goal, and it's the angle of post and bar.
I know your dad's the manager, but you've got to lead from the front. You're the captain of the team. literally just stood around watching Doku, thinking to himself, you know what, I don't want to get involved trying to stop him because I can't.
So it's Slovan Bratislava 0, Manchester City 2 at half-time, live here on Talksport 2. Full second half commentary to come. Let me update you on what's happening around the country in the EFL, because a lot of tonight's matches are already into the second half. 7:45 kickoffs mostly. In the Championship, Burnley 1, Plymouth 0. Cardiff 1, Millwall 0. Coventry 1, Blackburn 0. Luton 2, Oxford 1. Norwich 1, Leeds 0. QPR 1, Hull 2. Sunderland 1, Derby 0. And it's just reached half-time at the Hawthorns. West Brom 0. Middlesbrough 0. Again, these are 7:45 kickoffs, so into the second half. Coventry just gone 2-0 up on Blackburn, incidentally. Haji Wright, the American, getting the second for Cobb. In League One, latest in the second half. Barnsley 0, Wycombe 1, Birmingham 0, Huddersfield 0, Blackpool 0, Lincoln 0, Bristol Rovers 1, Charlton 0, Cambridge 0, Rotherham 0, Crawley 0, Mansfield 1, Leyton Orient 0, Exeter 1, Northampton 0, Bolton 2, Shrewsbury 0, Stockport 1, Stevenage 1, Wrexham 0, Wigan 2, Peterborough 0, and half-time at the Select Car Leasing, Reading 2, Burton 0. And into the second half in League 2 with about 10 minutes gone in all of these. Bromley 2, Chesterfield 2. Michael Cheek has just got another goal back for Bromley in that game. Scored at the weekend as well, Cheek. Carlisle 0, Notts County 2, Cheltenham 0, Accrington 1, Doncaster 0, Barrow 0, Gillingham 0, Grimsby 1, Harrogate 0, MK Dons 3, Morecambe 1, Bradford 0. Can Morecambe get that first win? Newport 2, Salford 0, Port Vale 0, Colchester 0, Tranmere 1, Swindon 0, and Walsall 2, Fleetwood 2. Ronan Coughlin has just scored his second of the night for the Cod Army to level it up at the Poundland Bescot Stadium. In the EFL Cup, 51 minutes played, Newcastle 1, AFC Wimbledon 0. Fabian Schär with a goal right on half-time. And in the Champions League, earlier today, Brest made it 2 wins out of 2, winning 4-0 at Salzburg, and Stuttgart and Sparta Prague shared a 1-1 draw in the half-times. Arsenal 2, Paris Saint-Germain 0, live on Talksport right now. Havertz and Saka, the goal scorers. Barcelona 3, Young Boys 0, Leverkusen 0, Milan 0, Dortmund 5, Celtic 1. Adeyemi with a hat-trick for Dortmund. Inter 1, Red Star 0, PSV 1, Sporting 0. And in our commentary game that Stuart Pearce and myself, Ian Danter, are bringing you, it is at half-time in Slovakia. Slovan Bratislava 0, Manchester City 2. And tomorrow we bring you even more Champions League action across the network. On TalkSport, Aston Villa welcome Bayern Munich to Villa Park, looking to secure a famous home win in front of their fans. Memories of Rotterdam in 82 and all that. I'm sure some of you listening to this will remember that night with Peter With and the late great Gary Shaw. Villa boss Unai Emery wants his side to show exactly what they can do in this competition.
We are playing in England against the best team in the world, and we are playing consistency, and we are showing our capacity against them. Now we are going to face against one of the best teams in Europe as well. At the beginning, we played against Young Boys. We are playing now against Bayern Munich. We are going to play against Bologna. We are going to play against Juventus. Maybe Juventus and Bayern Munich, they are the two teams in the same level. They are here, Manchester United or Tottenham or Arsenal or Liverpool. But we are not playing against those teams in Europe. Consistency, and this is the objective. And how is my expectation? My expectation is to compete, facing them, being competitive, and really getting our best performances, and like that, how we can be with a possibility to get good results.
Unai Emery, the Aston Villa manager. I'll tell you what, Stuart Pearce, I've got so many friends, Villa fans, mates of mine, who are beyond excited for this game tomorrow. You know, forget the memories and everything, and memories are a great thing about, you know, beating Bayern to win the European Cup in 82 under Tony Barton, but honestly, it's off the hook, the excitement around that part of Birmingham for tomorrow night.
It's an absolute classic on paper. It really is, and it's of no surprise really that the excitement generated. You know, they've worked really hard to get what they are. and it's for nights like tomorrow night.
Well, that's not the only game. We will also have commentary. I will be up at Anfield along with Danny Mills tomorrow night. Liverpool against Bologna is our commentary game right here on Talksport 2. So that's your option tomorrow night. You've got either Aston Villa against Bayern on Talksport, or you've got Liverpool Bologna here on Talksport 2. Both those games kicking off at 8 o'clock. And then Thursday, we've got 3 games from Europe in either the Europa League or the Europa Conference League. At 5:45, Ferencváros against Spurs. That's in the Europa, followed by Chelsea against Ghent in the Conference League. Whilst over on Talksport, all eyes on Manchester United in Portugal as they take on Porto. That's on Talksport at 8 p.m. But the players are back out at the Tehelopole Stadium. Manchester City, not sure whether they've quite had a flea in their ear from their manager, but I think Pep Guardiola will demand more. If this was a Mourinho team, you'd expect 2-0 and declare, because he never wanted to, drive opposition into the dirt. But Guardiola's never been that bothered about scoring 3, 4, 5 past an opponent and not feeling the least bit guilty about it.
No, exactly that. And listen, they got a centre forward in their team. I think if he don't score tonight, he'll be very, very disappointed.
Well, this game brought to you by TNT Sports, the home of European football. Our Italian referee blows the whistle to get us underway. There's no changes at the restart. I'll bring you the team lineups in a minute. Meanwhile, this goal's going in elsewhere as the ball goes out of play. Tranmere 1, Swindon 1. Swindon equalised through an own goal. In the Championship, Oxford have levelled it up at Luton. Luton 2-0 up, but Ruben Rodriguez has made it 2-2. Barnsley equalised at home to Wickham. Stephen Humphreys making it 1-1 with a goal for the Tykes. And Sunderland, what great start to the season they're having under Regis Lebris. 2-0 up on Derby County. Wilson Isidore with a second for the Black Cats. So City, who have Ortega in goal, Lewis, Stones, Akanji, Guardiol, Gundogan, Nunez, Doku, Foden, Savinho and Haaland. And it is Nunez who has possession at the moment, sliding it out to Savinho on the near side. Manchester City in their all burgundy change strip. Slovan Bratislava in all white with some light blue trim. They have Takac, the goalkeeper, Blackman, Cashier, Bajaric and Wimmer in a back 4. Well, actually it was a back 5 really, with Ignatenko coming to join in as an auxiliary centre half. Savidis, Tolic and Weiss, and then Barsegian and Strelic in attack. And it's Takac, the goalkeeper, who will have the chance to clear the ball downfield. He bids his centre halves to disappear. He's going to hit this long. Had a couple of moments to forget in that first half. Dominic Takac, notably a shot from Phil Foden that squirmed through his grasp and just struck the base of the post and stayed out, much to his relief. Ball drops on halfway. Weiss. And that's good skill from Slovan, and it's Tolic who's worked it out to the right hand side, and it's with Cesar Blackman. We'll get it back on this near side. Options, Barsegian just ahead of him, but he goes back infield to Savidis, and the Greek midfielder fires the ball across to the left hand side looking for Kevin Wimmer, but he couldn't keep the ball in play. 2-0 to Manchester City. No changes at the break, and no change in the commentary box. Stuart Pearce is alongside me tonight for TalkSport 2.
Yeah, pattern of the game very, very similar. City dominating possession of the ball, just looking for those little breakthroughs and the final pass.
Fleetwood lead 3-2 at Walsall in League 2. I know Adrian Durham went to see Fleetwood last week, get a 2-2, and he was quite impressed with Charlie Adams' team, and Caden Hughes has put them in front at the side, starting the night second in League 2. Vladimir Weiss, good turn to get up to the halfway line. Tries to toe poke it down the right wing for Blackman, who's a little more advanced. Now he's a wing back rather than an auxiliary right back, says a Blackman. Weiss, little flick in field but picked off by Savinho. Very calm defending from Guardiola and Stones between them. And City bring the ball up to halfway with Akanji. Slide rule pass out to Doku on the right hand side, once again running at Kevin Wimmer into the box, right hand side, just quickens the pace, checks back onto his left foot, sets up Rico Lewis, shot blocked by the keeper, comes out to the right hand side, and Doku again rolls his foot on the ball, trying to tease Kevin Wimmer as he gets into the box, pretending to shift the ball, gets to the byline, pulls it into the near post, and a comfortable claim at the near post for the goalkeeper.
Yeah, lightning speed with his feet, Doku, and Wimmer just doesn't want to go anywhere near him to get embarrassed. And, a good roll back, I've got to say, and Lewis got the shot away really well, close quarters, goalkeeper done well to parry away.
Bristol Rovers 2, Charlton Athletic 0. Jamie Lindsay with the second for the Gas. And Bolton 3-0 up at Northampton. Eoin Toyle. Here's Haaland getting up to the edge of the area, trying a trademark wallop from the 80-yard line, but it's blocked by a Slovan defender. You can almost feel those shots from Haaland when he takes them.
Yeah, I think there's a frustration in his play there. I don't think the shot was on Dance, to be fair. There was too many players in and around him. But because he hasn't had too many efforts at goal, you could see him wanting to get a shot away.
Doku with another cross from the right-hand side, looking for Foden, blocked away. Of course, there's this school of thinking that with Rodri not around, Haaland gets nowhere near the service or the openings that he gets when he is around.
Well, throw into the mix De Bruyne not around.
Yeah.
And I can quite understand that.
Away comes Barsegian for Slovan, up to the halfway line. Weiss is making a run down the left-hand side. It just goes behind him, but he'll keep it in play on the far side. Faced up by Akanji. Rolls it back to the edge of the box. He was looking for Barsegian, but he can only find İlkay Gundogan. And City will clear. Port Vale lead Colchester by a goal to nil at Vale Park. Jesse Debra puts Darren Moore's side ahead. Doku with 5 minutes gone in the second half. Manchester City 2-0 up. Carries the ball up to the midway point of the half. Nicks it infield for Rico Lewis. Lewis plays a little 1-2 with Foden. Then he gets dispossessed after dallying on the ball a bit too much. Vladimir Weiss won it off him. But then Gundogan steps in to win the ball off Tolic. Now Doku. Right-hand corner of the penalty area. Not much movement inside the box for him. So he plays it backwards of square to Gundogan. And the captain will give it back to Doku. Again, he might just drop his shoulder and try and go on the outside of Wimmer. Finds Gundogan right-hand corner of the box. He just clips it across the Stones 30 yards out in the centre of the field. Gundogan again, they're trying to thread the ball through the eye of the needle. Lewis, great turn at the edge of the area. Great skill and goes down. No penalty given, says the Italian referee, despite arms out aloft from both player and his manager Pep Guardiola. 2-0 to Man City.
Yeah, great turn there. Well, the defender's had a dangle at the ball, it's fair to say, but whether he's actually caught him with enough ferocity to put him to ground is questionable.
Birmingham City 1, Huddersfield Town 0. Alfie May, who hasn't played from the start in the last couple, the top scorer, but he's back amongst the goals tonight for Birmingham, scoring his 5th of the season. Birmingham unbeaten. I'm in a cold sweat here.
Don't lose your train of thought, my friend.
It'll never last. Just hang on to it whilst it's there. 2-0 here to Manchester City, and firmly in control. Could and should be more. Maybe it will be more. Here is Matheus Nunes, the capture from Wolverhampton Wanderers. Inside left channel, now level with the edge of the area. Plays it infield to Silvinho. Might break for Foden, he's run into a bit of traffic. Still toe pokes it out to Nunes at the dead ball line. Lofts it looking for Haaland's header! Puts it wide. Free header at the far post, he acknowledges the cross from Nunes, but Haaland missed the target, having leapt at the far post. You put your house on that, but it stays 2-0.
Yeah, and when you look in that line across the 6-yard box, you've got Haaland with 4 defenders. He's had to create his own space. What I mentioned in the first half, one or two of the Man City players have got to go and join him on the same axis to at least be a diversion of a run, if nothing else.
That's the voice of Stuart Pearce here on Talksport 2. Manchester City win the ball back again, midway point of the Slovan half. Nunez can't profit that time. The ball's back with the hosts just outside their own penalty area, right hand side.
The incredible thing is, if Slovan do get a goal back any time before City scored a third, then all of a sudden this game turns on its head.
Strelic, central striker for Slovan, clips the ball all the way out to the left hand side for Tolic. Barcelona go 4-0 up on Young Boys. Lewandowski with his second of the night. Leeds equalise at Norwich in the Championship. Laji Ramazani, that's 2-2 for him, scores on the hour for Leeds at Carrow Road. And Bayer Leverkusen lead Milan by a goal to nil. Victor Boniface for the Germans. Newport 3-0 up on Salford down in League 2 meantime. 5-1 to Borussia Dortmund against Celtic. Arsenal 2-0 up still against Paris Saint-Germain live on TalkSport. Manchester City 2-0 up here on TalkSport 2 as they play in Slovakia against Bratislava. Remember their next tests in the Champions League: Manchester City, Sparta at home, Sporting away, Feyenoord at home, Juventus away, Paris Saint-Germain away, and Club Brugge at home. And remember, that's 8 match days, and then the top 8 go through to the knockout stages automatically, and then the next 16 teams in this mammoth table will play off for the right to go into the round of 16. And we were joking before kick-off, weren't we, Stu? You don't look at a Premier League or a Championship, League 1, League 2 table till, I don't know, give it 10 games. You have to look at this table 2 or 3 games in.
You certainly do.
Doku inside the area, running into a bit of traffic, but Gundogan's won it back, finds Savinho, flicks it down the left-hand side of the box. Nunez giving chase, gives it back to Savinho. 10 minutes gone in the second half. Nunez will play it back to Gvardiol, just outside the left-hand corner of the box. Nunez again gets the ball on his right foot, won't cross it though, not yet at least. Gvardiol in support, and then Nunez just knocks it back to John Stones. Stones with the pass into the centre of the half for Manuel Akanji. Doku again aching to make a run down the right hand side, might get it from Lewis, he does now. Doku running at Wimmer, trying to go inside it for the moment, and almost poked it across to Haaland, but little nick off a Slovan defender took it away from 3 Manchester City players on the 6-yard line.
Yeah, as I say, Doku, probably he's going so quick then, he just hit and hope almost with the final pass.
Well, you were talking about his quality when he gets that final ball. Let's see what it's like now. Again, right-hand side of the box, pulls it back, and again, can't find a teammate, only finds Strelic, who is coming back to defend for Slovan. And Strelic looks to release Barsagian over the halfway line. Chance for him to run at Gvardiol here. Not much support. Now there's 1 or 2 joining in. Strelic has come up with him. Barsagian goes for goal, and it whacks John Stones full in the mush. But actually Stones is all right, and City calmly bring it away, still 2-0 up.
Yeah, as I say, decent break then, and every now and then they do get the home fans off the edge of their seat, and Haaland's in.
Haaland is in, goes round the keeper, it's going to be 3. It is number 3, and Erling Haaland has his customary goal. Not 30 seconds after Slovan were breaking down the other end, City win it back. They release the big man in behind, and you know the rest. It's inevitable. It's Erling Haaland. It's Slovan Bratislava 0, Manchester City 3.
Yeah, as I say, it was so easy, I've got to say, just spun off the back of the defender. Rico Lewis, perfect pass, by the way. And when Haaland got in, you never expected him to miss. The goalkeeper just splayed like Bambi, to be fair. Haaland went round him and stroked it in the net.
Well, it's 100 I mean, just hundreds of goals. 306 appearances and 256 goals in his club career. 6 goals in the Champions League last season. And he's off and running this, Erling Haaland, to make it 3-0, just shy of the hour mark.
Yeah, what I like about him, Dance, is when he goes through on goal, the air of confidence that he shows and emulates to the opposition goalkeeper, it almost strikes fear in him straight away. You see some strikers go through and players go through, and you can see the nervousness, they don't get the ball where they want it to be and all that type of thing, but he's a different animal.
You're right, there is something in the body language of Haaland that just exudes confidence in almost every situation. He expects to score. So 3-0, just shy of the hour mark. Fleetwood 4-0 up on Walsall. 4-2 up on Walsall now. Caden Hughes. Cheltenham equalise against Accrington, 1-1 there. And Manchester City coming forward again with Savinho. Left-hand corner of the box, goes past his man to the dead ball line, chips it up. Oh, I thought it was going to be headed in by Nunez for number 4, but good defending inside the 6-yard box. Slovan got it away. Basagian, good ball, and a chance for Slovan to break down the left-hand side. Shot, oh, it's wild across the face of goal. I think that was Kevin Dimmer, was it, striding forward from left back. Got it all wrong. Goal kick to Manchester City. They're 3-0 up, so are Bristol Rovers in League 1 against Charlton Athletic. And now that it's 3-0, here come the changes. And Haaland, having got his customary goal, he comes off. Ruben Diaz and James McAtee are 2 of the 3 players coming on. Haaland the first to go off. Still looks mightily annoyed, but then he has got his goal at least.
Well, he's certainly got a goal, but to be quite honest with you would expect him to have scored. Well, now poor Slovan have been with their defensive work, but to be fair to him, he's not missed chances, he's just not had chances supplied to him.
VAR was checking for a potential penalty after that break that Manchester City had in the box, but it is over and there is no further punishment. So an hour gone. And the substitutions have been made. Ruben Diaz and James McAtee are on. Haaland and Akanji have gone off. So they don't really have a central striker now. Foden ostensibly is playing furthest forward and central for Manchester City. Now Haaland has gone off. Ball worked out to Savinho. Nunez. Savinho again. Level with the edge of the area. Into the feet of Foden. Knocks it all the way back to Ruben Diaz, who's taken the captain's armband. As Gundogan is off the field as well. Here is Doku, making a strong run to the edge of the area, dispossessed. And the ball goes out of play, and it's a free kick in actual fact for a foul on Vice by James McAtee. 61 minutes gone, 3-0 Man City. Hull City 3-1 up at QPR. Liam Miller with the third for the Tigers. Inter 2-0 up on Red Star. And a couple of changes for Slovan Bratislava as well. And Zubaru, a defender, come midfielder, is a left back, joined last year from the Strada club, Ghanaian. He's coming on, and so too is Julius Jurka, who's a defensive midfielder, new signing from Aris Limassol. He's coming on for Vladimir Weiss, as his dad rings the changes and brings his lad off.
Yeah, to be fair, he's probably come off slightly quicker than he's done some of his defensive pressing, I've got to say. No offence to I met his dad and Vladimir many years ago when he come to Manchester City. Smashing family.
So a double change for both sides in that case.
He's coming off like a long lost hero, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got a huge hug from his old man.
Yeah, and all the substitutes.
As he goes to sit down, 62 minutes gone. Manchester City 3-0 up. Blackpool take the lead against Lincoln. Kyle Joseph. Brilliant start to life at Blackpool for Steve Bruce as new manager there. Harrogate 1, MK Dons 3. Harrogate get a goal back from an own goal from Luke Offord. And the ball's out in the centre of the field with Ilkay Gundogan, who was captain at the start of the game but has given Diaz the armband since he's gone off. Interesting that a player who stays out there gives the captain's armband away.
Yeah, very unusual.
Left hand side, Savinho for City plays the ball in field to Gvardiol. Now Stones, ball up to the edge of the area, cleared away by Slovan, but again City have it back. You're listening to Slovan, Bratislava 0, Manchester City 3 in the Champions League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day. Doku infield for Stones, across to Gvardiol and out to the left wing, level with the edge of the area, Matheus Nunes. Gvardiol back infield to Gundogan, square ball across to Stones, 30 yards out. I think he half thought about taking a pot shot then, John Stones. Instead it's worked out to the left wing once again, Matheus Nunes. Early ball infield for Gundogan, reverse ball back to Nunes, across the face of goal and turned behind by Cashier for another Manchester City corner. Just over 25 minutes to go. City are 3-0 up.
Yeah, interesting to see when Nunes burst into the box and put it across the face of goal. There was 3 City players in Foden, Rico Lewis and Doku in on that axis that I was talking about. Whether Haaland going off has encouraged them to get in the box a bit more.
Savino's corner almost dropped for Diaz. Headed out by the Slovan defence, but Rico Lewis is the last man back, just ahead of the centre circle, and just puts his foot on the ball and sizes up his options. He can go left or right here, just plays a short ball back to square to Nunes. Now McAtee got a great loan spell at Sheffield United, saw a lot of him last year in the Championship, and retained by Pep Guardiola. Here he is again, popping up right hand side of the box, tries to flick it across the area, knowing that Doku had made a run inside him, but the home side one possession back and they have a throw in their left back position. So a chance for James McAtee to struck his stuff. 32 appearances and 5 goals for the Blades last season.
Really important some of these young players get the opportunity to go out, and these loan moves are fantastic for him.
And it is his Champions League debut tonight. Great moment for him. Luton Town down to 10 men. That's 2-2 against Oxford. Liam Walsh has been red carded. And Cheltenham now lead Accrington 2-1. Ryan Bowman gets the second for the Robins. Here on Talksport 2, we've got about a quarter of the game to go. Manchester City looking for a fourth here. Doku on the right-hand side of the area. Faced up by the defender as he won a corner. No, that's a goal kick to Slovan Bratislava. A reminder, we've got more live Champions League football for you tomorrow across the network. Over on Talksport, Aston Villa against Bayern Munich. Here on Talksport 2, I'll be up at Anfield with Danny Mills for Liverpool against Champions League new boys Bologna. Our coverage starts at 7 on Talksport with Adrian Durham, your host as always. Savidis for Slovan gets up to the halfway line. Been dispossessed though. Worked out by Gundogan to the right hand side for Rico Lewis. Doku's now gone infield, receives it now near the right hand corner of the penalty area. Plenty forward in those burgundy City shirts. Ruben Diaz now at the centre of the Slovan half. Gvardiol works it out to the left wing, and Savinho. Quick ball back infield to Gvardiol once more. Now it's with Stones. Patient once more from Manchester City. I think that's 6-1 to Borussia Dortmund against Celtic in the Westfalenstadion. Indeed it is 6-1. Girassi, I think, again on the score sheet for the Germans. Nunez for Manchester City finds Foden at the edge of the area, just to the left of the D. Chipped into the box by Diaz, looking for Doku, drops for Rico Lewis. Now Doku has it again, steps inside the substitute, drives it goalwards, straight at the goalkeeper, dealt with it well. The goalkeeper stays 3-0 to City.
Yeah, Doku's just got to work that little bit harder now for his room and his space. Just looking, the substitutes come on both at left back and left midfield, and they're just working harder for Slovan, denying him the space.
Now they've given the ball away again, Slovan, and City had the ball inside the box. And then Foden fouls his man, and that'll be a free kick to the home side with just over 20 minutes to play. This game brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. Stuart Pearce and Ian Danter with you as Manchester City are going to move on to 4 points from their opening 2 games, yet to concede. When you look at what Slovan have got to come in their debut season in the Champions League group stages, they've got Girona up next, who are also brand new to this sort of thing. Dinamo Zagreb, who we know to the bottom of the table. Stuart with the goal difference of, what was it, -7?
7, yeah.
AC Milan at home in Bratislava. Atletico Madrid away, Stuttgart at home. They finish away at Bayern Munich, if you please.
Fantastic for them. Fantastic for the club, though, isn't it? You know, get games like that. Brilliant.
And you can hear from the atmosphere inside the stadium just how much they're still singing, they're still getting behind their team, even though it's 3-0 to City and could be more. Ball into the area, Lewis with a volley from around the penalty spot that was actually quite comfortable for the goalkeeper Takac to deal with.
Yeah, he probably could have taken a touch there. He had the freedom of the penalty box there, burst in from a deep lying position, and he's just helped guide it straight to the goalkeeper's right hand side.
John Stones chests the ball down from Takac's clearance. Doku again has a chance to motor down the right hand side, but he comes infield for City, finds Gundogan looking to thread the ball through to Foden. Savidis wins it back for Slovan. Strelic back, defending deep in his own half, just desperate at getting downfield. Slovan, they just hit it long, and they do hit it long. And they've got Zubaru in behind for a moment, the young substitute left back. Works across to Savidis. Now the right hand side, chance for Blackman to measure across into the area. Gundogan heads it half clear. And it's headed back towards the halfway line, kept in play by Bajric. Blackman playing a 1-2, good ball down the right hand side. First time cross, should be comfortable for Ortega to claim, and is. 3-0 to Manchester City. Wigan 3-0 up on Peterborough. Callum McManaman gets the third for the Latics, and Charlton get a goal back at Bristol Rovers. 3-1 the score at the Mem. Foden for Manchester City with 19 minutes to play. Arsenal 2-0 up, Celtic 6-1 down. Elsewhere in the Champions League involving British clubs, don't forget Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy have the Sports Bar at 10 p.m. on Talksport tonight. 03717 223344. Doku, right hand side for Manchester City, level with the edge of the Slovan Bratislava box, just calmly rolls it back to Rico Lewis. Gundogan across to Diaz, and that's played out to the left wing, and Nunez infield for Gvardiol. Now Foden strokes it infield to Gundogan. Little through ball to McAtee just outside the area. Foden ahead of him, so too is Lewis. Goes to ground as he tried to pick it up inside the D. Wanted a foul, nothing doing. Ball only half cleared by Slovan. Here come Manchester City again. Doku again, right hand corner of the area. Lays it infield to Gundogan. Gundogan spots Nunez on the left wing, who picks it up now. Faced up by Blackman. Can he get the cross in? No, he'll lay it off instead to Gvardiol. Foden gives it back to Gvardiol, almost in the same possession where he scored against Newcastle on Saturday, but he's dispossessed that time. But it's another Manchester City corner. 3-0 they lead.
Yeah, as I say, Slovan are just working a little bit harder, I think, with their defensive work, and it's just cutting off a few of those passing lines that City had in the first half.
Savinho with a left wing corner, and still plenty of gesticulation and not a great deal of happiness from Pep Guardiola on the touchline. In it comes from Savinho. Stones went up for the header, couldn't get the purchase, hooked away by Slovan to halfway. Inter Milan lead Red Star by 3-0 as well. Lautaro Martinez with a third. Wickham lead at Barnsley. Richard Kone gets the goal for Wickham. It's 6th against 7th at the start of play tonight. And Bolton have got a 4th at Northampton Town. Dion Charles with his 5th of the season. So Bolton upwardly mobile, and so are Manchester City. City are upwardly mobile, and James McAtee on his Champions League debut smacks the ball home underneath the goalkeeper. What a night for him, and City have gone 4-0 up.
Yeah, as I say, all too easy. I'd just give him a semi-compliment there that Slovan were defending with a bit more zest, and obviously they switched off with a bit of complacency. But City played through, and it's a wonderful little lifted ball by Foden over the defender's foot, and McAtee got on top of it, took it with the outside of his left foot, and then hammered it home from close range.
Well, what a moment for the 21-year-old. Scoring on your Champions League debut. You and I were looking on as Micah Hamilton scored on his Champions League debut for City last season. He's now a Middlesbrough player. But McAtee doing his prospects of regular football for Pep Guardiola no harm at all with that. 4-0 then, just over a quarter of an hour to play, and Slovan get the kick-off all wrong and pass it straight out of play, and City have a throw for Guardiola to take on the near side. Bradford equalise at Morecambe. Not again. Morecambe looked like they were going to get their first win of the season, but Jack Shepherd equalises for Bradford. That's 1-1. Coventry 3, Blackburn 0. That's ended Coventry's poor run. Brandon Thomas Asante with the third for Cov. Is that Blackburn's first defeat of the season? I think it is. Barnsley 2, Wickham 2. Mark Roberts equalises for Barnsley. Here's Doku for Manchester City, winning a corner away to our left-hand side. Shrewsbury 0, Stockport 2. Kyle Wotton makes the point save for Stockport. Jack Grealish is going to be on in a minute to further torment the Slovan Bratislava defence for the last, 15 minutes or so. Meanwhile, corner kick that Phil Foden, who just set up McAtee for the 4th, is going to take. Whips it into the near post. Savinis heads clear straight back to Foden. He nods it back to Doku. Foden, right wing, almost level with the edge of the area. Goes infield to Rico Lewis in the centre of the half. Just to his left is Nunez. Feinted to pass the ball out to Savinho, left-hand side, but instead it's gone to Foden. Right-hand corner of the box. Oh, a break for Stones. Sets up McAtee again. Saved by the keeper this time. He could so easily have had a second on debut, James McAtee, but the keeper this time blocks it away. 4-0 City.
Yeah, really unselfish play there by John Stones. He could have taken the effort on. He just helped it on to McAtee, and the goalkeeper made a regulation save, but a good save all the same.
I think Stones could have held on to that ball for 5 seconds and no Slovan player would have got near him. Time stood still. Here he is again, Stones. 25 yards out. Chips the ball out to the left wing for Matheus Nunez, and Savinho infield for Nunez. Slovan get it again half clear. Guardiola can't keep it in play. Walsall 2, Fleetwood 5. Matty Virtue surely makes the point safe for Charlie Adam and Fleetwood Town at the Poundland Stadium. And here comes Jack Grealish, and Phil Foden won't complete the 90 minutes, but a goal and an assist will do very nicely, thank you indeed, for Phil Foden. Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, he'll be pleased with that. More importantly, found a lot of space just in that number 10 role, just operating behind the Slovan midfield. Certainly in the first half he did.
And we've got a third City captain out there now, because Josko Gvardiola's gone off. Kyle Walker has come on, and now he's got the armband. I'm confused now.
They should be operating with more than one armband, I think. Make life a lot easier, wouldn't it?
Harrogate 1, MK Dons 4 in League 2. Conor Lemonhay-Evans with the 4th for Milton Keynes. So Grealish and Walker on for these last 13 minutes or so. Gvardiol and Foden have gone off And there's a change as well for Slovan Bratislava. It's Porschek that's come on. See who that is in just a moment. Here's Savidis working the ball down the right-hand side. Kept in play by Barsegian on this near touchline, but couldn't hold on to it for long. City have it back. You're listening to Slovan Bratislava 0, Manchester City 4 in the Champions League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has vans of all shapes and sizes, so if you've got a plan, we've got a van. Ball's with John Stones just inside the Slovan half of the field. Arsenal 2-0 up, Celtic 6-1 down elsewhere involving British clubs in the Champions League tonight. And Villa and Liverpool play tomorrow night. Both those games live with us. Talksport for Villa Bayern Munich, Talksport 2 for Liverpool Bologna. 11 minutes to go in Slovakia. 5-1 now to MK Dons at Harrogate Town. Sonny Finch and Rotherham have stolen all 3 points from winless Cambridge. Cambridge 0, Rotherham 1 in League One. Sam Nombic. And Mansfield have the point safe at Crawley as well. Crawley 0, Mansfield 2. Ben Waine in stoppage time for the Stags. So as you say, Stuart Pearce, Nigel Clough doing very nicely indeed, thank you.
Yeah, he's had a super start to the season, done well with the promotion last year, but he's managed a lot of games. He'll be up near the 1,000 mark.
If he isn't already, I need to check that, but yeah. Sheffield United, Derby County, Burton Albion.
10 years at Burton, so there's a lot of games there.
Northampton 1, Bolton 4. Tom Eaves gets a consolation for Northampton. And Morecambe Bradford's finished 1-1. So again, Morecambe denied a win by a late goal. That's not the first time that's happened to the Shrimps this season, as they stay towards the bottom of League 2. 7-1 to Borussia Dortmund against Celtic. Not a good night. I think Jason Cundy might be coming off his long run up on the sports bar against all things Celtic when they come on air at 10 o'clock tonight.
It's a tough one to swallow, that 7.
4-0 up Manchester City here. The ball is with Matheus Nunes out to the right hand side, and Doku. Nunes has gone again for the return. Plenty of space to measure up across. 4 waiting for it. Pulls it back. Grealish, well, the ball hit Grealish rather than him hitting it. It just ricocheted into his path and he could do nothing about it. Slovan get it clear, but it's going to come straight back at them. Damage limitation for Slovan Bratislava at this point.
I think it was from sort of almost early in the game.
Yeah, from the 8th minute, yeah.
Yeah, it looked that way. Even when City hadn't scored, they looked as though they had the ability to dominate this game. And I'm just surprised. I thought it would be up near 4 or 5, maybe more. Surprised it's not beyond that.
Well, here's Doku pulling the ball across the face of goal. Well tucked behind by Cashier for a corner, because if he hadn't touched that, there were 2 City players running in on the far post who could so easily have converted that for 5-0. Instead, it's a corner.
Yeah, it's amazing how the dynamics of a team change. You look at City now. Once again, when that ball was hit across the face of goal, there's 3 City players all there looking for that tap in, and it's amazing. I think there's so much respect for Haaland. They think he's the main there.
Gundogan to take this corner, right-footed out swinger. Up goes John Stones, free header, put it wide. And he's frustrated with himself because he knows that was a free header. Could have done so much better with that. Goal kick in the end, 4-0 City.
Yeah, done everything right. Great run. Darted into that near post area, level with a near post about 8 yards out. Technique looked very good, just couldn't get it under the crossbar.
West Brom 0, Middlesbrough 1 in the 8 o'clock kickoff in the Championship of the Hawthorns. Hayden Hackney, the young Middlesbrough Academy graduate, has given the Borough the lead at the Hawthorns. Barnsley 2, Wickham 2 is the full-time score between 6th and 7th in League 1. Tranmere 1, Swindon 1 full-time. Cheltenham 2, Accrington 1, Carlisle 0, Notts County 2, and Cambridge 0, Rotherham 1 are all full-times. Plenty of full-times coming through from the EFL 7:45 kickoffs. We've still got 7 minutes of normal time to go here. Newport 3, Salford 1 as a full-time. Cardiff have beaten Millwall. Big win for Cardiff, and Omar Rizu wants the job on a permanent basis. And Birmingham have beaten Huddersfield by a goal to 0 to maintain their unbeaten run in League One. Inter 4, Red Star 0. Mehdi Taremi with the 4th for Inter. Manchester City seeking out a 5th. It's Ruben Diaz, right-hand corner of the area. Finds Doku down the right-hand side of the box. Nunez will give it back to the Belgian. Nunez goes again for the byline. Checks the cross, pulls it back now. It's cleared away by Savidis, but it'll just sneak away from the Bratislava midfield, and Kyle Walker tidies up for Manchester City. Grealish up towards the edge of the area, inside left channel, rolling his foot on the ball, just teasing the Slovan defenders in front of him. Gundogan nicks the ball out to Lewis in the left-sided position. McAtee picks it up now down the left-hand side of the box, goes out of play for a throw-in. Walsall 2, Fleetwood 6. Mark Helm with a 94th minute goal. The COD Army are going goal crazy by the M6 tonight. Blackpool 1, Lincoln 1. Lincoln look like they're going to get a point at Bloomfield Road. That is 3rd against 4th, and Tom Hamer looks like he's secured a point for the Imps. That's 1-1. Bristol Rovers 3, Charlton 2. Matt Gordon, they're not done yet, the Addicts. And Robert Mack is coming on late on for Slovan Bratislava. Barsagian, the player coming off, who has expanded a lot of energy but not had a great deal to show for it. You can say that about a lot of those Slovan players out there. They've really been chasing shadows all night.
There's one or two that have expanded very little energy and got very little to show for it as well.
Yes, that's true. Port Vale 1, Colchester 1. Colchester equalised in the 90th minute through Samson Tavida. Here's Jeremy Doku finding Kyle Walker, right-hand corner of the penalty area. Thought he was going to cross the ball, but instead he gave it back to Doku. He's got 2 defenders facing him. Gives it back to Kyle Walker. And again Doku. Now he's only got 1 defender. Tries to go on the outside of him. Rolls his foot on the ball and gives it back once more to Kyle Walker. Across it goes to Stones in the centre of the half. Grealish picks it up. Little through pass to Lewis. He lays it off to Ruben Diaz, who had the captain's armband for about 10 minutes. Grealish now running towards the edge of the area. Feeds it into the centre of the pitch. It might come through for a drive from Gundogan, and suddenly that's blocked behind by the goalkeeper when Gundogan thought he'd run through to complete the scoring, having started it. Corner kick, 4-0 City.
Well, you're looking at this defensive display by Slovan, and you think, you've got to ask yourself your question. This is the elite cup competition in Europe, and we've got 36 teams in this. I'm not sure.
It has been very lax at times. Manchester City have played through them at will. Reading 3, Burton 1 in the late kick-off in League One. Sam Smith with the 3rd for Reading. Danilo Orsi got one back for Burton. Stockport have won 2-0 at Shrewsbury. Stevenage have beaten Wrexham in League One by a goal to 0. Bolton Wanderers 4-2 winners at Northampton. Blackpool Lincoln has finished 1 apiece. And Fleetwood have won 6-2 at Walsall. Gillingham 0, Grimsby 1. Also a full-time result. The leaders of League 2 beaten at home. John Stones guides the ball back to Ortega, who's had one of his quieter nights in the Manchester City goal.
Don't think he's had a shot to save, actually.
Now here's Doku making strides as 1 or 2 Slovan players were caught forward. And the ball's gone behind for yet another Manchester City corner away to the left-hand side. 3 minutes to go. 4-0 to the visitors.
Yeah, we're just seeing the game out now. Whether they can actually get a 5th in this game that probably their domination deserves, who knows.
I think it's their 12th corner of the night. Manchester City haven't scored from one so far. Gundogan to take it. Stones came close from the last one with that header. Gundogan again delivers. Again Stones goes up. This time he's beaten away by the keeper and behind for another corner kick. That one from John Stones was on target, but Takac dealt with it well. 4-0.
Yeah, almost an identical area. Identical run by John Stones. Level with that near post. Probably 2 metres outside the 6-yard box. Rose really well. Kept it down this time. Goalkeeper made a fine save.
Another corner. Flicked on by the Slovan defence. Comes out to Grealish. Lobs it out to the left wing and gets it back. Faced up by a defender. Plays it in field to Rico Lewis. Across it goes to Nunez. 2 minutes to go, in fact, a minute and a half to go. Gundogan thinks about teasing the ball into the box from the inside right channel, thinks better of it. Norwich and Leeds have shared the points at Carrow Road. Wigan have beaten Peterborough 3-0. Burnley have beaten Plymouth by 1-0 in the Championship. Here is Kyle Walker for Manchester City. Plays the ball back into square to Diaz. Gundogan in the centre of the Slovan half, has plenty of options left and right. Gives it back inside right to Walker. Walker's going to go for goal. Beaten away by the palms of the goalkeeper. Straight out in front of him. Not particularly convincing. Doku jinking for the dead ball line. Couldn't keep it in play. 4-0 to Manchester City, but they've won yet another corner in the last minute as Luton and Oxford share 4 goals and a 2-2 draw at full time in the Championship.
Yeah, looks like if anyone's going to score, it'll be John Stones, because he is the one that looks as though he wants to score.
Well, they weren't able to stop him from the previous 2 corners. What about this one that Gundogan has again from the right-hand side? An out-swinging corner to come from the German. Into the near post, it almost made its way through to Stones. Flicked away from him in the nick of time. Grealish picks up the loose ball in the centre of the Slovan half. Calmly passes out to Gundogan. Deep ball to the far post. Brought down by Savinho. Can he find a teammate with a cross? It's flicked wide by McAtee, who climbed about 8 yards out, but was probably 2 or 3 inches too short to get the proper purchase on the header. And as we move into 2 minutes of added time, Manchester City is still 4-0 up here on Talksport 2.
Yeah, not a convincing header there by McAtee. Good movement, good run, got in a really good area in the box, but couldn't guide his head on target.
Goal kick that Takac will take for Slovan, who've had a bit of a chastening night. Not that you know it from the atmosphere around the stadium, still lots of positivity. I think there's just that wide-eyed wonder from the home support, Stuart, that the Champions League is finally in town.
Yeah,
after all this time.
As I say, every time a player's come off the pitch, they've been greeted like heroes, welcome, smiles on the bench, and this is a team that are 3 and 4-0 down.
Here's Doku for Manchester City in the final minute of minimum stoppage time. It's picked off at the edge of the area. Couldn't quite find its way through to a Manchester City teammate. It's back with Ortega, who's joining in near the centre circle now, the City keeper. Walker now looks to feed Doku down the right hand side. It's headed clear. In steps Gundogan. Good strength and tenacity from Ilkay Gundogan. Lovely reverse ball, sets Doku away. Pass into the area again, doesn't find its intended target.
Yeah, that's its Achilles heel, the final pass, but then again, that's what separates the real world classes from very, very outstanding players.
Now here's McAtee in the area trying to make room for a shot, but he's run into one too many defenders, and it's cleared away, asking Zubaru to give chase for Bratislava, but he fouls Nunez, who is back covering. Free kick. Sunderland have beaten Derby 2-0. Newcastle have beaten AFC Wimbledon by 1-0 in that Carabao Cup tie. Coventry 3, Blackburn 0 as a final score. And the full-time whistle goes in Slovakia. And when you listen to that applause around the stadium, you'll be forgiven for thinking that Slovan had maybe held Manchester City to a draw or lost by 1 or 2 goals. But Manchester City have their first goals of this year's Champions League group stage. 4-0 they win. A great night for James McAtee, who came on as a substitute and scored on his Champions League debut. That after Gundogan's deflected effort on 8 minutes, Foden's sumptuous finish on the quarter-hour mark, and Erling Haaland with a traditional goal just shy of the hour mark as he ran through on goal, rounded the keeper and slotted it home. As simple a victory as Manchester City will have all season. I suppose, it's a good workout for some of those players tonight, Stuart Pearce, because none of them were particularly extended, were they?
Well, they wasn't extended defensively, that's for sure. It was a good passing game for City, looking to break the opposition down. They've scored 4 goals, kept a clean sheet. They'll be delighted. They've got off first 3 points of this campaign in the Champions League, and onwards and upwards for them.
There are one or two things to look at from the City performance, and you pointed it out. Jeremy Doku had so many opportunities to find teammates in the space that he created for himself a lot of the time, but that final ball has to improve.
Yeah, it does. It's probably the one thing. I mean, he's a real talent, and I look at him from a defender's point of view and think those feet are so quick, and he manipulates the ball brilliantly. And then just on occasion, if he tidies up that final cross, that final pass, he hurries it a little bit, and you're just left wanting a little bit more, to be honest with you.
So 4-0 to Manchester City. That's 4 points from their opening 2 games, and no goals conceded. Hull City have beaten QPR by 3-1 in the Championship. Elsewhere for Manchester City, I mean, we wonder where John Stones would play tonight. Played at the back in the end. You just wonder what Pep Guardiola's medium-term plan is for that midfield in the continued absence of Rodri. But he went with Gundogan and I guess Rico Lewis joining there, Nunez. And neither of them were particularly troubled, it's fair to say.
No, you can't really judge them too much on that. Foden, I thought, out of all the midfield central players, found more space than anybody else, but you would expect that from him, I think, and it's still something, it's a work in progress, trying to find someone to fill that void.
Well, the Slovan players are just applauding their fans, who are still making heaps of noise in the stadium in the claim of their team, even though they've been heavily beaten at home in their first ever Champions League group stage home encounter. And fair play to them, and we'll see how they progress through the rest of the tournament. Girona is up next, another Champions League new boy for Slovan. But at this point, let's get the thoughts of Stuart Pearce on his man of the match.
Man of the Match on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has vans of all shapes and sizes, so if you've got a plan, we've got a van.
Yeah, it's time for Man of the Match with our friends at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Where's your nomination going tonight, Stuart Pearce?
Well, it's got to be someone in a Manchester City shirt for sure, and probably Doku had more influence on the game, had more of the ball than any player, darted into the box, and I'd probably have to go with him more than anyone. If it wasn't him, it'd be probably Rico Lewis. I thought the pair of them done quite well.
All right then, so Jeremy Doku takes the award from Stuart Pearce. That's our man of the match with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.